Hello and welcome everybody. First and foremost, I just want to take this opportunity to thank every single one of you for choosing to study with myself on Photoshop and of course with Shaw Academy. Now obviously I'm delighted to welcome you to all to this diploma in Photoshop. Now for some of you this may be your first time to do an online course, and the joys is that you chose an interactive online live course. So let me start by introducing myself. Okay, obviously, folks, my name is Philip. Philip J. Cal, and I have been doing Photoshop for a long time. This lesson, which is going to be, folks, is get the core skill, composites. Don't touch like I don't have it. CS5 Elements is perfectly fine as well for this course, folks. That's perfectly fine for it as well. So yeah, some people have it, some people don't, and that's what this is all about: getting everyone up to speed. And as you will be able to design a logo eventually, but I'm going to give you the tools so you can design absolutely everything. That's the whole idea. I'm not going to show you how to do one specific thing. I apologize if that was confusing for you. Okay, folks, so everyone seems to have, majority of you do seem to have Photoshop. If not, folks, do make sure you get the trial, okay? And save it for lesson 5 or lesson 6. Now, let's talk about Photoshop. So, folks, Photoshop's been around for a long time. But for anyone who's never heard of it before, Photoshop is an image editing software and it's developed by Adobe Systems Incorporated. They do a lot of different programs like Illustrator, After Effects, Premiere Pro, Flash Animate, which are used in a lot of different industries, from magazine layouts to animation to illustration to video making. They're used for absolutely everything, and Photoshop is one of those, and it's been a key tool for Adobe for a long time now. It was actually first developed by Thomas Knoll and his brother John Knoll in 1988. So it's been around a long time at this stage. This is the lovely Thomas Knoll on the right here, who still works for Adobe at this stage, and is actually the head of the Lightroom team. Now, Photoshop is considered one of the leaders in photo editing software, folks, and it is the industry standard in most countries. Because again, it's extremely powerful and they've kind of taken the world at a storm. But there is other options out there. Again, feel free to use the other options that you want. Feel free to use the trial of what I will be teaching the software, so you will notice that the interfaces will be a lot different. Okay. Okay, and then again, folks, Photoshop in its most basic format, we'll be able to use it to manipulate, crop our images, resize, and correct color. But the joys of this course is that I'm going to show you an awful lot more. Our main focus is to actually enhance our images using adjustments and layers and masking, edit our images with our selection tools and our heal tools, and create full images from other pictures that we have to make our own image composites. So we're going to take it to an extreme level for this course. We're going to have you all using Photoshop as creatively as possible. Okay, now let's actually look at the Photoshop interface, folks. So this, again, I have it in slide format at the moment because I know not everybody has Photoshop. So when you're downloading these slides, you will still have a reference point to look back on. This is Photoshop. This is the interface of it itself. Okay, I always include it in the slides to help you remember everything. And it is also in the toolkit, again, folks, from the members area. So first off, what you're looking at here in front of you is what we call the stage or the document. Basically, it's the image that we're working on. So this big image just here is our stage or our document. It's just the image that we're going to be working on. You can call it what you will. But basically, it's the photo we're going to edit. Next then, folks, we have our menu. So the menu itself is this bar here. And like any software that you've ever used before, Microsoft Word, and pretty much anything that, like Photoshop, if you've worked on the other Adobe programs, they all have a menu bar up the very top for doing the likes of opening your images, saving your images, selecting specific parts, and a lot more. As we delve into the lessons, you will see how creative we can be with just the main menu. Next, we have our document tab. So again, folks, this is the name of our image. So I could have named this a little bit more creatively, but it's just Photoshop 1617999 underscore 1920.jpg. So again, it's the image itself. If we have two images open, you will see a second document tab. this is pretty much telling us here that this is a JPEG image that we're working on and the name of it. That's the key kind of material that you need to get out of that. But it is just a way of organizing your images if you're working on multiple projects at once. Next we have our toolbar. The toolbar, I suppose, folks, I mean, for anyone who's ever used it before, I'm sure you've used the toolbar before. This is basically the bread and butter of Photoshop. We're going to be using majority of all of these tools, if not all of them, throughout all of our lessons. In lesson 2, I will be doing a demonstration, a live demonstration, based on the questions coming in from yourself. You will ask what tools, or will tell me what tools you want to see, and we'll demonstrate them very quickly there and then. So to really hype up the live aspect, folks, make sure you're here for lesson 2 so you can type in, because I can see that Leanne is already typing in saying is this actually live? And Leanne, I hope that myself calling your name out has proven the fact that it is, okay? But believe me, I couldn't understand where you're coming from. I have a robotic voice being from Dublin. Okay, going to continue on, folks, and we have the options bar. So the options bar, again, folks, is related to our tools in the actual toolbar. There's a lot we can do with it. Every single tool, like our brush tool, is not just a very simple tool. We can change it in so many multiple different ways, especially using a graphics tablet or a mouse, so it reacts differently. So think of every tool that's there is a tool within itself. It has multiple different layers to it. Okay? Moving on then, folks, we have our palettes or our panels, whatever you wish to call them. And these can be found from the Window tab in the main menu. I will demonstrate this in Photoshop, folks, so do not worry. Again, if you ever see anything that on my Photoshop that you don't have, and this will cover it in lesson 2 again for customizing Photoshop, but this is where you'll get all the extras for very quickly picking your color, using adjustments, altering your brush tool, and so many more, the layers and everything else like that. Okay, now, since I'm talking about layers there, folks, layers is covered in lesson 4. It's actually a kind of complex and complicated subject for anyone who's never used layers before. Has anyone ever used layers before, folks? Or I can see Tanmay probably has, because he's talking about raw images here, which you can use raw images in Photoshop. But folks, layers, again, we're going to be covering it in great detail from lesson 4, and we'll use them in every lesson going forward. So it'll be drilled into you the importance of using layers in lesson 4 to 8 a lot. Okay? So again, this is, okay, some people are saying yes, some people are saying no. Citan has used them for 3D, and that's perfectly fine, so you understand the concept of them. But lesson 4, folks, it's a very key element to using Photoshop layers, so we're going to do a lot of work on that. But don't worry about it if you're unfamiliar with them now. And then, folks, lesson 2, again, our customizing, we're going to be dealing with workspaces. And workspaces are quite nice. They're more only in CS5 up, okay? So if you have an older version of Photoshop, you might not be able to use workspaces the way you want. But again, they are quite nice to know, because you'll be able to change how your Photoshop interface looks very quickly. You can save everything that you've done when you're customizing it in lesson 2 to your own workspace, so you then have it set up for yourself. And we can change stuff like shortcuts. Again, folks, make sure you download the shortcuts from the actual members area. It'll really help you speed up your work with Photoshop, okay? Alright, brilliant. Okay, now, so folks, again, for anyone who is unfamiliar to Photoshop and still does not have the software, again, you can get it from www.adobe.com/Photoshop. So literally Adobe's website, and you'll find it there. It's a very easy site to navigate. Do not get the trial until lesson 5 or 6, because you only get 7 days with it, folks. But make sure you download my slides. As I said, the slides for today are free for everyone for attending. So do make sure that you get in there and you get the slides for today. You'll be able to have a look back over absolutely everything. Okay. So folks, looking at this, is there a more important part to Photoshop for you specifically? Keep in mind, obviously, what you're here for, what your initial goal is. So that way, again, it helps me to clarify the main consensus on this actual this batch of students that I'm teaching, folks. Do you want to know more about the tools, the layers, the options? What is it you're looking for yourselves? Okay, a lot of tools, the absolute basics coming from Julia. It's a great answer because obviously we're going to be covering the absolute basics and more in this course. But toolbar and layers seem to be the key ones coming in there, folks. So that's lesson 2 for the toolbar, lesson 4 for the layers, okay? And then obviously we'll be looking at specific tools in greater detail in the other lessons. So lesson 5 will be our selection tools specifically from our toolbar, and lesson 7 will be our healing tools for retouching in the toolbar as well. So again, I've kind of got you covered there, and I will be asking these kind of questions throughout the lessons again and again and again. Frequency separation, Ricky, is something I touch on in the advanced course, unfortunately, but again, you will definitely learn something from this course. All right, folks, so we're gonna move on very quickly. As I said, I will open up. Actually, I'll jump straight into Photoshop. Bear with me one moment. I'll jump straight into Photoshop, folks, and I'll show you. We're gonna open an image. If you have the newer version of Photoshop, you can do it straight from the actual dash when you open it. If not, you will have to go to File from the main menu, something that we've just talked about. In the main menu, you will see that we have the Open tab, and this will allow me to open an image. So we'll open up just this image here. Now, if I do any sort of editing to this image, folks, we can basically come in and then save it. But there's loads of things we can do here. So I will be using Photoshop in today's lesson, but just so you know where everything is, by default, our toolbar is on the left-hand side. We can see that our document name is here. We have our options bar up top. Our panels are over here, and our layers are down the bottom. In lesson 2, we will be customizing everything, so if you want your layers out here, you can do so by just clicking and dragging. If you want your toolbar over here, we can slot it in. It's customizable, folks, and that's what lesson 2 is going to get you, so you're familiar with what you want to do. But this is the interface itself, and our workspaces are up here. Now, just so everybody understands how it works, if I open a second image, you can see that my bull has disappeared, okay? But we can see that we now have 2 document tablets. So we can change very quickly to work on one image to another. So just keep that in mind, okay? Because I understand some people that it might not look the exact same as mine, but majority of it is in the same place. If you don't see the likes of layers or color or swatches, this is all hidden under the window panel here. All of these are different swatches that you can use, different panels that you can use, folks, to allow you to make your images even easier. Okay, this image is not photoshopped already, folks. It's just a really clear image taken from a really nice photograph. We will be photoshopping it in today's lesson, though. Philip, you can open as many images as you want as long as your computer can actually handle it. Okay. Now, I am going to jump straight into why we would use Photoshop, folks. And I suppose it's a question for yourselves as well. And why are you using Photoshop? So do feel free to type in and let me know why you're using it. I'll have a quick look. But it does help for my support team to be able to help everyone individually. So why are you using Photoshop? Simply, folks, I would say it is the industry standard. And if you want to be creative, especially if you want to pursue a career, Photoshop is the best way to go. But it does have over 9 million users. Okay, that's a lot of people using Photoshop, and there's a reason, because it is possibly the easiest software to learn how to use that has incredibly complex parts to it. It's an easy software to learn, folks. You just have to devote your time to it. So some people just want to play with their own photos. That's perfectly fine, and that's brilliant. So, folks, I do understand that everybody will have their own individual goal here as well. Up your photography game, that's always a good reason. All right, folks, so there is always that one thing that I want to discuss and kind of get out of the way, and that is the term Photoshop. So the term Photoshop technically is to alter a digital image. I will say to alter a digital image with Adobe Photoshop software, especially in a way that distorts reality. Now, the reason I say with Adobe Photoshop is because that's where the name comes from, the software. It's very familiar in today's society. It does get a bit of negative feedback, as in terms of models are always photoshopped to look better than they actually do in real life. But it's not that type of software. That's people using it wrong, in my opinion. Okay? To me, Photoshop is creative and we can be as fun as we want with it. If you want to make yourself look 10 times better for your Facebook profile, by all means go ahead with it, because again, we know we're distorting reality. So the likes of Photoshop, folks, I can do very simple things. I can take this nice image here and I can very quickly change the color of it. Okay? And that, once again, we've bringing a bit more life to the image that was just full of these heavy greens. But we can do a lot more with it. We can take a picture of a bear and we can cut out the background and we can add them into the image. We can even add our own fake shadows. We can make sure the light is working correctly because the light's coming from that angle, and that's our dodge and burn tools. And as again, we're going to be dealing with all of these tools within our lessons, so you can make your own first image composite. John, I am Philip, so I'm not too sure what that question is about, but I do apologize if you're a bit confused with the support team helping you out. Okay, folks, so again, that's the term Photoshop. We're dealing with the software itself. Now, the term is extremely popular. We all know that. But Photoshop, Adobe themselves actually discourage the use of it, and they would prefer the term to be image editing than actually associated with their actual software. But again, because it comes with some kind of negative responses from the media. But we all know that we can be as fun and creative and enjoyable with the software as we need to be. Okay? Used for creativity and enhancing. Exactly, Sherry. That's what I would prefer to use it for. Stephen, do not worry about that. We'll be looking at how to change color in today's lesson and in many other lessons, but I will give you a quick glimpse to it once I get through getting everybody up to speed. So folks, again, this is all of my surveys going on here, so I know who exactly I have on the course. I'm going to make an assumption. So you can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Because Photoshop can be used for many different skill sets, and many people have different interests in using the software for themselves. But this will help me structure the course on the fly to suit everyone that's here. So I'm going to divide you all into 3 different categories. We have our photographer, we have our designer, and we have our enthusiast. So folks, a quick type into the chat box for me if you don't mind. If you are a photographer, that can be either amateur or professional. You don't even need to be using a full DSLR. You can be using your smartphone, whatever. As long as you have a camera, you consider yourself a good photographer. If you are a designer, that links in our graphic, our web, our architect, sketch artist. I can see a lot of photographers coming in, and then people already typing in an enthusiast to get there before me. But the enthusiasts to me, folks, are just somebody who are willing to learn, not tied down, just want that extra skill set. So it's majority of you do seem to be either photographers or designers, but I am getting quite a good few enthusiasts coming in. Few people are a bit of both, and folks, that's the joys of it. So I can see that was Tamay coming in as a bit of both, and Nakeya is also a photographer with a little bit of design and an enthusiast. You need to be an enthusiast, I suppose, as well. But lots of designers and photographers flooding in here. Sahara is a photographer, Patricia is an enthusiast, and Alexis falls into the first 2. But folks, the idea is that, yeah, you can fit into more than one. Okay, and by the end of the course, hopefully, if you are just a photographer, I've got you more in the designer side of thinking as well. If you're just a designer, hopefully I've got you thinking about your next best photograph that we can edit. And if you're an enthusiast, hopefully I have you being all 3 as well. Okay, that's the idea of the course. Mainly, I'm going to sum all of our goals up into one major goal, and that is to make our pictures perfect. Okay, that's our goal here for this course. Everyone has their individual goal, and if we put them all together, our goal is to make our pictures perfect. That's what we're here for. Taking our own photographs, using someone else's images, it doesn't make a difference. We just want to make them better than what they actually are, and be creative along the way. Tobogo's coming in saying, please mention my name. I do apologize, Tobogo. I can't get to everybody, but I'll give you a shout out there for you, Tobogo, okay, from South Africa. You'd be surprised. I can see a lot of people asking that as well, folks, but I'm going to try to stick with the content. I don't want to veer off too much here. Alright, folks, so how do we make our pictures perfect? I base all of my designs around the 3 core concepts that we're going to deal with in this course. And that is to enhance our images. So we can enhance already nice, stunning images that we've taken. So the likes of this, where the greens of, or the yellowy kind of leaves of the bushes have been enhanced to be purple. A very easy thing to do. Then we have our editing, where we can basically distort our pictures so well that even though we know it's photoshopped, you have to glance at it and actually know. You can see that the reality is distorted in this image, but it's so well done, you have to take a second glance at it to know that it's photoshopped. And then finally, folks, we're going to create with our images. So we're going to use our imagination and many other images to make the pictures that we always wanted to make. So we're leaving the realm of photography, and we're going into a more creative and adventurous side to things. So we're going to cover it for absolutely everybody. With that in mind, folks, let's actually jump into a bit of Photoshop, because that's what you're all here for. So we're going to demonstrate a few tools today and how powerful Photoshop can be. When I learned Photoshop many moons ago, we'll put that out there, folks, when I actually used Photoshop, there was a lot to it. Okay, and everything was a process. And when I say that, it means that it took you 20 to 30 minutes to do something very simple. If you have the newer versions, you will know that we can do stuff very quickly. And that's what this course is about. Getting all of you to a skill level as good as myself without having to worry about the older processes and the long roundabouts. So I'm going to get you to look at an image like this with some unwanted acne. Okay, so a few spots. We all have those details in our pictures that we don't want in our images, and we're going to learn how to remove them. And this is obviously something we're going to deal in great detail in lesson 7. But let's actually just open up Photoshop here, folks. So I have it here. We will go File and Open, and we'll open up our image. And here is our image, okay? Now, very quickly, folks, we don't need to worry about too much at the moment, but obviously we're going to use a tool from our toolbar. So every so often when we're using Photoshop, I will shout some shortcuts out because that's the tool that I'm using. So for now, we're going to use our healing tool, our spot healing brush from the toolbar. So just if it's not the first tool that you see on your toolbar here where the healing tool should be located, because there is other tools related to it, they all share the same shortcut. And that shortcut is J. Make sure you're on the spot healing tool and that the icon looks like this. Now, folks, all we need to do is actually change the size of our brush to fit our pimples. This can be done from our options bar up top here. So there's a lot of different options. For now, I want you to just worry about this. This is the brush size handler, okay? So this is where we actually change the size and the hardness of our tools that use a brush. So this is the spot healing brush tool. Our healing brush tool, if we were to use a paintbrush, you will see that we have the same options in here, or very similar at least. So back to our healing tool, shortcut is J. And we're going to come in here, folks, and we're just going to change the size of it to about 50. Okay, so just change the size of it. We'll leave everything else the way it needs to be. We'll cover that in great detail as we go through our lessons. Now, get ready for it, folks, because obviously I know that some people might have internet lag, but we're going to literally just one click with my mouse, just one click, and we've removed the spot. Okay, we'll just fix the little areas. We'll come over here, one click, and we've removed the spot. So you just go through healing those images that you don't want. Pimple on the neck here, one spot, and it's gone. Okay, and that is, as folks, this is a magical tool. I can already see people loving it. Again, there is ways of changing your brush very quickly, folks, and that's the square brackets on your keyboard. But again, little spots here that we don't want, and we'll just move all them. Even if, I mean, freckles, you wouldn't generally remove freckles, but just so I can show you the power of the software, the freckle is gone. This is for darker skin, lighter skin, any color skin that you have. Again, it's working. What it does, folks, is it picks up on the tones around your image. So if you have darker skin, it'll replace the image with darker skin. All I'm actually doing there is replacing this part of the image with the image around it. And Photoshop does all the thinking for you. It's as simple as that, folks. When you're happy, you just go File and you go Save As, and you save your image as whatever you want to save it as. It'll automatically save as a JPEG or a PSD. Again, that's something we deal with in our next lesson as well. So folks, did you enjoy the spot healing tool? I can still see the wows coming in. What we'll do is I'll actually, you know what, I'll cancel this down because I very quickly want to show you a nice way of dealing with your images. So we can see before and after, okay? Now I've already done my before and after. So we've got these two images. So just to show you the power of the tool again, I'm flicking through very quickly there. But if I go to Window in my main menu and go to Arrange, we can do loads of different options, but I'm going to tile up vertically. So now we can actually see the image before and after. Can everyone see the before and after there? How quickly we've kind of changed our images. Is Save As to preserve our original image? Ed, exactly. I will not recommend that anybody saves over their original image, especially if you're taking your own photographs. Do not save over your original image. It's just bad policy. It's nice to be able to kind of work with that. Okay, folks, let's jump back into Photoshop. Again, that's how to remove spots very quickly, something we're going to touch on in lesson 7. But what about our quick and easy adjustments? Say we want to change this image, okay? She's got nice, lovely, browny kind of blonde locks attached in here, folks. But what if I wanted to change the color of her hair? You can use the healing tools on landscape and any other images. Good question coming in there. All right, folks, back to this. If I want to change this image, I can enhance it very quickly. And we can change the color of this girl's hair. Now, I'm going to do it in a very few quick steps. But do keep in mind that there is obviously a few more steps to it. So I already had this image open. So we have the image of the girl here. In lesson 3, we're going to be dealing with and lesson 4, and onwards, because everything will build up. We're going to be dealing with our adjustments. Now, to find your destructive adjustments, folks, we're going to come up to Image and Adjustments. So again, the main menu, Adjustments, and we want to find one that's called Hue and Saturation. This will give me what looks like a very complex slider, but it's not that difficult, folks. There's a few steps to it that we will cover in great detail in lesson 3. For now, if you want to play with your images, pick an image that has a lot of a very similar color in it. Grab this icon here, which is the little hand icon, and choose that color. So this is choose the yellows, which means that I'm going to affect the yellows of the hair and any other yellow that's in the image. All I'm going to do, folks, is take this Hue slider. Hue stands for color. And I'm just going to move it. If I go this way, the hair will become a little bit more green. If I go this way, their hair becomes a little bit more red. And then we have our image. Here's our OK. So let's go File and open up our original. What I'll do, folks, is I'll open up the other one. This is the one that I had prepared, so we knew what we were doing. And we will just take this image here and put it back to the way it was. Now, I'm going to go View, and I'm going to Window, Arrange, and 2 up vertical, so we can see the difference. And again, folks, it's a very quick 3 clicks of an actual mouse. That's all it is. So I'll do it again so we can see it working, okay? We're going to take this image. We're going to go to our Image, Adjustments, and we're going to go Hue and Saturation. Now, put it over here. We're going to choose the yellows in here, so we can either use the hand icon or we can choose the colors from the master list. And we're just going to change it. And as you can see, it will change the skin color a little bit. That's fine because we're going to learn in later lessons how to stop that. But for now, we can change the image very, very quickly to whatever we want. So just find a nice, easy one that you want to go with. And we're just using, what's that, a click for images, a click for adjustments, and then moving this slider. So 3 clicks is all you need. Okay? They are, Serena, the yellow tones in the face are affected, and in the later lessons when we deal with our masking and our selections, we're going to show you how to stop that from happening as well. Once again, good question on the ball there, but it is something that we will cover in great detail. Now, For images that we seen earlier, folks, for actually changing the green tones to this, it's the exact same process. I just came in and I changed the green tones. But in our later lessons, we are going to be looking at how to create our images. So we're going to take the likes of this bear and we're going to add them in, make our own image composites, and that's lesson 5 and 6 together. They build on top of it. Lesson 5 and 6, we're also going to take images like this, folks. Pictures, a nice picture that someone took, but maybe you don't like the night sky in it, okay? Maybe it's a little bit too dull. What we're going to learn how to do is how to select that background and completely replace it. But we're going to learn how to use our adjustments to color match and color tone our images. I even added a reflection of the sky there below, folks. So we've actually changed this image to look completely different. And we will do that in about 5-10 minutes in a lesson. It's very capable for every single one of you, once you compile all your skills together, to be able to do this very quickly for yourself. So you're going to have absolutely lovely pictures by the end of it. You can add animals in if you want, Serena, as well. Whatever you want to do, that's going to be lesson 5 as well. We're going to learn how to do our selections. So again, I don't really have the time for how to practice these two today, folks, but that's something that you do have in mind. But I am going to set an actual assignment for everybody, so you do practice with Photoshop if you have the software, okay? Because practice is going to make perfect. If you don't have it, wait till lesson 5 and lesson 6 and get the trial. If you have the software already, just to get you familiar with the interface and using adjustments, because they're going to help all of your images, we're going to take an image like this and we're going to make it black and white. Now, might sound very simple because we know that we can take images with our phone and make them black and white. We can take images with our camera and have the settings standard to black and white. But with Photoshop, we can be a little bit more creative. So let's jump back into Photoshop. So folks, we have this image. Okay, I may as well have a look, see if I have to. This is what we're going to be doing. So we're going to make it black and white, okay? So we have this image here. And all we're going to do, folks, is we're going to go up to Image in the main menu, Adjustments, and you can see that we have a black and white option. Now, we also have called Desaturate. Now, Desaturate will actually make the image black and white. But can you see the difference between the two of them there? So let's go to our 2 up vertical. Can you see the difference in the sky up here? In the actual bull itself, even the grass is different, folks. So this is my desaturate. This is my desaturate here, and this is the black and white. So the tones are different in the image. We can actually do a lot more editing to it. So let's go back to this image, and what we'll do, folks, is we will undo. So edit and step backward. We're going to go Image, Adjustments, and we're going to use the black and white instead of desaturate. And this will give us a list of colors. It's an adjustment, which we will deal with in lesson 3, 4, 5 going forward. But folks, this is something I want you to play around with yourselves. It's an adjustment. And what we can do with this, folks, is we can change the colors that were originally in the image. So we know that the skies kind of have those darker blues. So if I change the darker blues in here, we can change the tones of everything that was blue. But the rest of the tones, the rest of the colors in the image are not affected. So we can make those blues a little bit darker, make it a bit more dynamic. If we want to change the fur of the Highland cow, I believe it's a Highland cow, we can change the red, because the red will include the orange. So yellow or red will include the color. So we can brighten up the image, or we can darken it. A bit too much, but you want to find that easy, subtle difference in between. The greens and the yellows will affect the grass, and again, folks, we just kind of have to know what colors are in our images. And magenta, again, will kind of play around with the kind of purpler colors that are in our image. There's not many in this, but you get the idea on how we can be more dynamic with our black and white photos. It's not that at all. You do not need to just have a plain black and white image. We can be as creative as we want with Photoshop. So that's the assignment for yourselves, folks. I want you to